Audrey realized Jeff was more emotionally invested in the Knicks buzzer beater loss to the Pacers than her career milestone. It didn't help that Jeff had recently lost a major account at work, a fact he insisted was a blessing because the client was a pain who wanted status reports on his own money and didn't understand the concept of trust me. To bridge the gap and apologize for his sports-centric brain, Jeff tried to be supportive, but he kept missing the mark. Finally, Audrey secured floor seats for a Knicks game through her new connections. Real floor seats, the kind where you could hear the players breathing and possibly get sweat on by a celebrity. "Look at us," Jeff whispered as they sat courtside. Spike Lee only 3 seats away and looking equally intense. "We're practically in the game. If the ball comes this way, I'm taking the shot. You might get trampled by a 7-footer. Audrey, it's romantic. It's high-stakes intimacy." But the night was nearly derailed by Audrey's bloaty feeling. She spent 45 minutes in the bedroom trying on every outfit she owned, eventually deciding she looked like she was being fumigated for termites in everything. "You don't look fat, Audrey," Jeff yelled through the bedroom door. "You look like the woman I'm about to take to a game where people sweat on us. Wear the oversized shirt I got you. Spike Lee is wearing one exactly like it, and he's considered a fashion icon." They made it to the game, and for one night, the rules of engagement were simple. Cheer when the orange ball goes in the hoop. And don't mention the Metropolitan Opera or the fact that the popcorn cost $15. Chapter 9, The Senior Discount and the Ghost of Snuffles. Russell Dunbar was a man who prided himself on his sexual prowess and his ability to remain unattached. But his legacy was about to be challenged by a woman from his distant, feathered hair past. Her name was Constance Williams, and she lived in the building Russell had grown up in. Russell Dunbar," she asked, catching him at the diner while he was trying to impress a much younger woman with his knowledge of Italian leather. Russell turned, a suave, predatory smile ready, until he saw her. She was elegant, 60, and holding a senior discount card like a badge of honor. "Constance?" Russell's voice went up an octave, his cool evaporating instantly. "You used to take care of my cat, Snuffles." She smiled, her eyes twinkling with a secret. "And I took care of more than your cat. Russell, remember your 18th birthday, the piano tie, the feathered hair, the desperation?" Russell's face went pale, well, paler than usual. He had bragged to the guys for years about the sophisticated older woman who had initiated him into the mysteries of the bedroom. "You are so cute," Constance chuckled loudly enough for the entire diner to hear. "And so nervous. And it was over so fast. Truly, Russell, it was a blink-can-do-miss it event. Every time I think back on it, it makes me chuckle. It's my go-to story for adorable failures." "Fast," Russell stammered, aware that Jeff and Adam were listening from the next booth. Snuffles was in the room. The cat was staring at me. It was judging my technique. It freaked me out. It was a high-pressure environment. I don't think it lasted long enough for the cat to even form an opinion, let alone a judgment, she said, tapping her senior card on the table. Anyway, I get the discount if you want to join me for a muffin. I hear you like things efficient. The news of Russell's sprint to the finish spread through the group like wildfire. Jeff found it particularly delightful, bringing it up at every possible opportunity. 100% customer satisfaction. Russell? Jeff teased. Or did she just not have time to find the dissatisfied button? Was it a record-breaking performance? Do you have a trophy for least amount of time spent? Russell, determined to set the record straight and reclaim his honor, actually went on another date with Constance. He needed a rematch. He needed to prove that 20 years of experience had turned the sprinter into a marathon man. I closed the book on that one. Russell bragged the next day, though he looked uncharacteristically exhausted. I now have a 5-star rating. I am the Uber of lovers. Efficient, but I get you where you need to go. Chapter 10, The Double Entendre Trap. Russell's next romantic venture was Jessie, a woman who seemed to speak entirely in that's what she said jokes, but without the irony or the awareness that she was doing it. I like it when it's firm, she said, shaking Adam's hand with a grip that could crush a walnut. She's obsessed with sex, Russell whispered to Jeff later, his eyes wide with excitement. It's perfect. I don't even have to try. The universe has finally handed me a win. But as the days went by, Russell began to realize that Jessie wasn't being dirty, she was just extremely literal. And he was extremely perverted. Every invitation was actually a mundane observation. The mailman tried to hand her mail. Russell complained to Jeff, his face buried in his hands. And she said, "Can you just slide it in my slot?" She meant the mail slot. Jeff, the physical, metal slot on her door. And then we were in the rain, and she says, "Rain makes me really wet." Technically true. But who says it like that? Russell found himself in a linguistic minefield. Every time he thought she was making a move, she was actually discussing global warming, the ozone layer, or the benefits of thick-cut turkey. "I'm done," Russell declared at a club opening, looking around at the sea of beautiful people. "I can't take the tension. My desires are aroused, but her actions are just talking about alternative fuels and carbon emissions. There's a giant hole in the ozone, Jeff, and it's staring right at me. I feel like the planet is judging me." He broke up with her shortly after a rare instance of Russell Dunbar running away from a beautiful woman because she was too smart to be as dirty as his imagination wanted her to be. Chapter 11, The Philosophy of the Future. As the two couples, the grizzled veterans and the starry-eyed recruits, navigated the streets of New York, they realized that the rules of engagement were never truly finished. They were a living document, subject to constant negotiation and the occasional veto. Jeff and Audrey finally sat down to talk about the future, not the syrup distribution future, but the what happens if one of us is on life support future. It was a sobering conversation, or at least it was supposed to be. Pull my plug, Jeff said firmly, staring at the television. Don't let me linger, but wait until after the Super Bowl, just in case there's a miracle comeback. I don't want to miss a fourth quarter rally.